when I moved to Greer about 2 years ago, we moved into a neighborhood that has these courts for this sport that I wasn't familiar with. It looked like tennis. Mm-hmm. It seemed like ping pong, but it's not. And it's called pickleball.
Little origin with the name.
Okay.
So it started in Bainbridge Island, Washington, in, I want to say, the 60s. They named the sport pickleball after their dog named Pickles.
No way.
Yeah. So
I guess I should disclose really quick. Alex is a professional pickleball player. I probably should have led with that. But anyway, continue.
So it started on Bainbridge Island in Washington in the 60s. It started as the adults were bored, or they were annoyed with their kids, and they wanted to get them outside. So they created this sport in their backyard, and they didn't know what to call it. And their dog's name was Pickles.
Okay.
So they called it pickleball.
That's the most unique, like, just off the wall. That's how I would name a sport.
Right. Me too.
Like, I'd be doing something and look at a piece of turd on the ground and be like, that's turd ball, dude.
It's turd ball.
Yeah.
That's a better name than pickleball.
Well, hey, anyway, so tell me, like, what, since it has that origin, I mean, is there any connection to tennis or, like, other sports with a paddle?
So there's no, like, real connection to it, but people make connections because if you play tennis, and obviously tennis is a lot bigger than pickleball, there's more people that play it, this and that.
Well, not for long.
Not for long, no. But people from tennis, if they come over to pickleball, they usually have they have more skill with it because they have that stroke ability. They have those ground strokes, the forehand, backhand, things like that. Mm-hmm. And it translates really, really well.
Okay.
And you'll see tennis players have more success quicker than someone like myself that doesn't have a tennis background, doesn't have a racket, doesn't have a paddle background, or anything like that. I come from soccer. So
okay. Wow.
I played soccer growing up. I played soccer in college. I played a little after, and I didn't pick up a pickleball paddle until 2019, and I fell in love. And that's kind of what you see a lot. You see a lot of people pick up the sport. Let me back up a sec. So they usually make fun of it at first because you see a lot of elderly people playing it, and they're like, "Oh, that sport's for old people. I don't want to do that. That's dumb."
Right.
You go, then you get whooped by a 7-year-old. My exact starting story was that.
Okay.
My parents called me one time. They're like, "Hey, Alex, come play this sport with us." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's called pickleball. It sounds weird. Whatever. Fine, I'll show up. I got beat by two 65-year-old ladies.
Oh, nice.
Not my parents.
Okay.
They kicked my butt later.
Okay.
So I'm like, this is annoying. I want to get better at it. So I, started getting better, and then I kicked the crap out of those 65-year-olds, and I'm like, okay, I got to get better.
You had a chip on your shoulder, bro.
Yes,
like literally, you were just training. You're like those.
I was like, I want those 65-year-old
those old
women.
bitches.
So that's kind of the story of how people get into pickleball.
Yeah.
Is they see somebody playing it, or they get invited, and they're like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
And so
that's wild, man.
Yeah. And then, so along the lines of like a tennis player, there's this feud, quote unquote feud, where people think, or tennis players think pickleball is just kind of easy and stupid and it's not a real sport. This and that. You read comments on pickleball videos all the time. Tennis is so much better. This isn't a real sport, this and that. And then they go play it and they're like, I never want to play tennis again. I just want to play pickleball.
Yeah.
It's so much easier.
So as far as like from what I can tell, when I see all my neighbors playing it every night when I'm driving home from work, it does look a lot more fun.
It is.
Like, it looks a lot more entertaining. And now, from a physical exertion standpoint, have you played tennis?
I have played tennis maybe for about an hour.
Okay.
And it is not close to tennis. Okay. Tennis is
it's probably
a lot more demanding on your body.
Okay, yeah.
You move around. I want to say you sprint a little bit more, but the mental game is more prominent in pickleball than it is tennis, because you're kind of like, how can I overpower the other person? In pickleball, you want to work strategy, you want to do this and that. You know? And
so it is kind of like a combination, because when I play ping pong, it is very mental for me because I can also use cues across the table to with my hands, because it's easier to play.
Yep.
So that's interesting stuff, man. So you got into pickleball from soccer, and that became like a love of yours. What? I guess, how did you get into like the professional leagues? Like a lot of people don't even know that there's a professional league for pickleball.
Yeah. So there's two main tours. You have the PPA, which is a professional pickleball.
He said PP.
I did. Professional Pickleball Association.
Okay.
I don't know why I had such a trouble with that.
I love it.
And those are like your top dudes. So
Okay.
Ben Johns is on that. He's the GOAT. He's a 24-year-old amazing player. He has like 80 medals or something like that this year alone. You got Tyler Loom, who's out of Utah. I used to train with him. Everyone. And then you have the 16-year-old phenom, Anna Lee Waters, who's on that as well. And then another tour is called the APP, and that's the one I play with.
Okay.
That's the Association of Pickleball Professionals. So that they're kind of competing.
Okay.
And you can either go to this tour or go to that tour. And people usually start with the APP and then try to make their way onto that.
Oh,
and then
PPA.
And then if they have success on the APP, then they'll switch over to the PPA. So I'm just now starting.
Gotcha.
To work my way into the APP.
Nice.
So I'm hoping with these next few tournaments that I have that I see successes. And
we hope so too, man. I mean, that's
so
awesome.
too.
I can see you already have a sponsor.
Yeah.
Or maybe a few if I'm not sure.
I do have a few.
Okay.
I have Holbrook Pickleball, which is my paddle sponsor.
Okay. Sweet.
I have a sponsor called Fourth. It's the edge guards, so they provide these edge guards.
Nice.
They have nice tape. I just got sponsored by a grip company out of Utah as well.
Very nice.
And then that is about it.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Alex, since we've discussed pickleball and you've kind of filled me in on all the ins and outs and how it got started, what it consists of, potential differences between ping pong tennis. Since this is the nutrition store, before you go into a big, we call it tournament, how does your preparation leading up to that look as far as your diet, your physical activity? Like, do you have recovery periods leading up?
Yeah, so I will usually take the day off of a tournament, or take the day before a tournament off.
Okay.
I'll drill pretty intensely. Like, so I'm leaving, for example, Tuesday next week to go to tournaments and whatnot. So I'm going to drill pretty intense Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then probably Tuesday morning. And then I play Wednesday. I will take that entire time to recover. I'll drink a lot of water. My diet consists of a lot of carbs right before I go to tournaments and whatnot. As far as my diet throughout like training, it's just, protein, lots of carbs, lots of water, and a lot of electrolytes, because here in Greenville, here in South Carolina,
it's humid as
you,
shit.
You lose a lot of stuff in your body. So
no doubt.
have just recently started taking at least 2 Propel little packets every day.
Well, we're going to kickstart the sponsorship today then, because I've got some cool stuff for you.
That'd be sweet.
That's interesting. So you hear what he's saying, guys. He's not consuming copious amounts of protein leading into a competition. I wonder why that might be to a lot of you meatheads out there who think that somehow protein has this energy provision benefit. It doesn't. Yeah. Carbohydrates are king, and that's what you need to understand when it comes to performance I would consider, just based on what I've seen of pickleball playing, I would consider it a lactic threshold activity.